Welcome to another interview, this time with my friend and colleague, Jonathan Stewart. I'm coining him a simplicity consultant. Jonathan has helped me streamline my business and destroy the dozens of notebooks that my business used to be run out of and create simple processes, workflows, structures inside a database tool called Notion. But I'm going to let Jonathan introduce himself properly and tell us a bit more about what it is that he does in his business.
Thank you. So I just tried to make businesses as simple and as easy to use as possible so that you don't have to spend all your time in your business. Because when people start wanting to run their own business, they kind of they do it because they want to have less time working. They don't want to do a 9-to-5 job, but then end up getting stuck in this 9-to-5, 9 to 9 or midnight to midnight, like 10 a.m., where they basically work all the time, which the whole point of going into running your own business is to have your own work hours and be able to spend more time. For me, was for my family, to be able to spend time with my family, to be able to, just do other things than work. And so that's kind of what I do. I simplify businesses so that they don't end up wasting time on tiny little things, which people don't realize adds up. And I do it all mainly in a tool called Notion, because Notion gives you that customizable workspace to work exactly how your brain works. And what's really cool is the fact that you can make it look as messy as you want. You knew where I was going there,
yeah, I mean, that's definitely me.
But it doesn't matter as long as it works for you. It doesn't matter. And so Notion can be really clean and can be really messy, and as long as it works for you, it's all that matters. And that's what I do, make things really simple and work the way that your brain works.
That's what I loved about it, because I've tried so many different productivity or planning tools, like literally I think every single one of them that you could name, and it's never lasted. I've always set something up and then fallen off the wagon later, and this is the first one that kind of adapted to the way that my brain worked. And so I've kind of you created something to get me started, and then we've evolved it as I've got used to the tool. And so it is like a second brain, so that I don't have to hold quite so much information in my head or rattle through 6 notebooks to find the thing that I was looking for to be able to get started with my day's work. But what I wanted to ask is, how did you get into this line of work? Because that's not where your first adventure in self-employment started, is it?
No, so my very, very, very first was actually a music producer. I produced music for video games on a certain game development company called RPG Maker. I actually worked with the company, I think it was the US branch of that company, and I helped build music packs for game developers because I loved to do video games and stuff like that. I loved making things. And so I started off there, then proceeded into teaching.
That already sounds like the coolest job in the world. Why would you ever leave?
I don't know, because one, that I had to charge very little, and two, often the clients I worked with didn't really know what they wanted and found it very hard to kind of be clear, and it was a very low paying to get to a stage where I could support myself whilst not working all the hours of the day. And I kind of started that job out of necessity. Literally, I was a carer before that. I worked in a care home, and literally what happened is my wife gave birth to twins. I had to leave my job for various reasons because I hurt myself, and loads of stupid reasons. I ended up getting kicked out of that job, but left by choice because it wasn't working. I wasn't happy with the way I had to behave, and so it's out of necessity. Right, okay, so I'm just going to do music production. It's what I'm good at. But all through that time, when I was doing that, I was helping other friends with businesses. I knew how to use WordPress. I knew how to build systems and simplify things. So I was always doing that in the background the whole entire time. I then moved to teaching guitar because I've been playing guitar for ages. And literally in the last couple of weeks, I stopped teaching my final student for a reason, which we're probably going to get on to today.
Oh, you can't leave me hanging there. So then what was the progress into the productivity and system simplification?
Basically, my best friend nearly died in a car accident. And on that same evening, I had all the money stolen out of my account, and I went, right, I know that I can do lots of other things, and let's be honest, guitar is not going to pay at all enough. And it was very money orientated because I wanted to support my family. I wanted to be able to just spend more time with them. And so that day I was like, right, okay. I was a member of a community called Magic Media, and constantly was asked tech questions, constantly like asked about the tech. I was just like, well, I can just help people set that up. And so it started from there. I fell into Notion during that time, and it was just like, Notion's amazing. And with my kind of brain going in different ways than what people are used to, I suppose the neurotypical kind of thing, like I was able to just go, well, this is how you can do this, 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 and this. Had a few clients and went, I really like this. This is fun. And so from then on, I just started doing tech and simplifying things, and it just kind of flew from there out of nowhere.
It's really interesting for the people that I've interviewed. There's so many common threads through the stories. There's always been like this some element of necessity, like where we've had absolutely like something either has been a slow burn and then you realize, oh, I just can't have a normal job, or I can't carry on like this, or something quite sudden. And then also this kind of balancing with, you know, you've got to have a normal life as well. So you can't just be working, like you said in the beginning, we open a business and then we just work for 12 hours a day and don't get paid for most of them. And then you work out like, oh, my hourly rate this month was about £2 an hour. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then we kind of get this like snap moment where we go, I'm not doing that anymore. I need to take back control and have more like time for me and my own business. Have you found it easier? I mean, you've got quite young children, so have you found it easy to keep that balance right and not get sucked into working too many hours? Or once you dive into it, do you like want to stick at it for a long time?
Like, honestly, I can get very distracted very quickly. I like what I do, so I do sometimes not balance it very well. But recently, you're talking about massive changes. I'm thinking, me and my wife were thinking of taking my youngest actually, out of
youngest
school.
Of the twins, so they're still
Youngest
the same age,
twins, like 30 minutes younger, but my daughter likes to repeat that to him.
Inferiority complex from birth there.
Yeah. And take him out of the situation he's in, because it just wasn't working for him. Both of them are on the spectrum. We've discussed this for like at length before, and we're getting to the point now where he's not being supported in the way he needs to. So we've been deciding, and my main focus into shifting into what I'm doing now and kind of shifting around to try and fit that, and so that if my son needs to be homeschooled, I can provide that support instantly, so that my poor wife's not doing everything.
And you know, just for the record, when they come out of school, you get a whole heap of downtime first that's called de-school, like legitimately called de-schooling, where they get to do nothing and just figure out their own way and find what they're interested, you know, just have plenty of books in the house, plenty of things that they enjoy doing, and give them loads of time and space, so you don't have to be on it from the beginning. I think I'm so into like helping as many people as possible if they're interested. You know, homeschooling is not for everyone, but anyone who's got a bit of an appetite for it, I'm always happy to talk to you about it and how it works with running a business, because you can't imagine what it's going to like. Our day is so upside down. Today, I started the day by watching a TV program to myself because the kids were still in bed, and I was like, this is it. This is my 1 hour of the day when no human's going to talk to me. And I really am enjoying Brave New World that's on Sky. And I tried to watch it and got interrupted about 15 times the other night. So our day is now flipped, where my relaxation time, which would normally be in the evening, is now first thing in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So that was my time to myself. And then we have like the middle of the day is over to them. And then once their friends get home from school, you know, they're in their rooms and I don't see them, and then I can get on with work. So it's very fluid, because it changes depending on if it's the summer, we're out at different times. If it's the winter, we're indoors a lot more. But it's totally doable. You can run a business and have the kids at home with you, and it doesn't have to look like how it did during lockdown, because that's not the same as home at all.
That was fun. I think, to be fair, he went through a de-schooling process that they both did at that point.
Did that then? So is that now your like primary focus, is getting your business set up so that you're in the position to make that change if you choose to?
Yeah, it's literally because at the moment I do everything. So I ran for a very long time, I tried to do everything. I did all the editing, I did all the video production, I did all of the, I don't know, blog posts, social media. I did everything myself because, well, it was my baby. I brought it up from scratch. I knew exactly what was going on. And then I realized how much I didn't enjoy doing all of the things and decided, right, this is time. Thanks to Andrew and Pete, I must say. Like, it's the fact of, hang on a minute, I don't need to do all these things. There are people who are far better and enjoy the stuff I don't like little tiny admin tasks I can't touch. I just get bored.
It's hard to imagine that other people enjoy that though, isn't it? And then
Yes.
and then I find that weird handing it over, because I'm sort of going, I don't want to do this, so would you do it for me? And that feels, you know, a bit like Downton Abbey to me. Like, you could just pass it downstairs. I don't want to have to do this. But actually, the people that you're passing it on to genuinely have chosen to do that work because they really enjoy it. In the same way as, you know, the work you do for me is because you enjoy doing it, not.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, this just makes me want to cry when I look at it. Please take it away. That's taken a bit of a head adjustment to know that actually I'm not handing over something unpleasant. It's all right for them.
And also another thing that I'm really understanding is, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
Because of course I'm an autodidact. I learn everything and love to learn way too much. And I do learn everything. So I can code a website by hand. I can use WordPress, help me. I can use almost any platform you throw in front of me, but just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Does that make it really hard when someone says, does anyone know someone who can do this? Or someone comes to your, you know, knocks on your door, sends you that PM on Facebook and says, I need help with this. Can you help me? Do you find it difficult to stick to what your core offerings are? Or do you just like, oh, they'll give me money, so I'll go and do that thing?
It's a common fight I have to have with myself, especially in Atomic, when questions are asked inside of the Atomic group. I'm like, yeah, I could help with that. Yeah, and that. Yeah, and that. Yeah, and that. And then I end up with this long list of things that I want to do. And then I look back and go, hang on a minute. I'm going to be in this studio until midnight again, doing all of these things when I shouldn't do. And so for me, and another thing, it's interesting for me to realize when I spent so much time on my client stuff, I didn't give me my time. And so my business ended up turning into an absolute state behind the scenes because I was too busy helping clean up and help fix other people's businesses. And then I look back at mine and just go, I can't deal with this anymore. I've done this all day, go away. And so having that extra pair of eyes, having that someone who can go, this is what you need to focus on, has been so valuable for me to help me actually come back to my business and actually like being sat in it instead of going, oh, I'll just go and help someone else now.
And do you now stick to like a core set of services that you offer?
Most of the time.
That was a strategic gulp to have to be able to put off answering the question.
Nah, not at all. You've been working with me too long now.
I'm like a mind reader now, not just for you, but
I'm getting there, like slowly and surely. And thanks to Notion, like going back to kind of course, my system's in Notion. If it wasn't, then there'd be a problem. But like for me, being able to transition really fast between different tasks and being able to then create a focused like routine that I have to follow has helped me to focus down as well as like make things easier. So most of the time, yes, I do have a core kind of the tech retainer has kind of gone behind the scenes and is only offered to special people that I want to work on their business.
It's an honor if they get to work with you.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say that. I let you say that.
That's actually really interesting because I was writing for somebody else's launch an email to go in their launch sequence about why their program was application only. And so it's the same kind of thing. We didn't just say it is an honor if you apply and I say, yes, I'll work with you. But it does need to be that balance between like, you're not just going to take anyone who offers you money. It's got to be, you know, in the same, when you apply for a job, so they always say, when you're applying for a job, it's not just you that's getting interviewed, you're assessing the company and whether you want to work for them. And you think, really? Because I'll literally work for anyone who'll give me the cash right now. And in the beginning with my business, that was the same. Like with clients, there was no two-way assessment going on. It was just like, if you've got the money, I'll do the work. Yeah. And then after a series of learning experiences, it then becomes much more of a kind of two-way assessment process.
Yeah, and that's happened recently with me. Like, I opened the doors to do tech retainer stuff because of course I know how to do it, and it doesn't take me too much time to do. I can just get on with it, get it done. But even now I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking on anymore. I've got the people that I like working with, and I far prefer to focus on the stuff that only I can do, which is like not only I can do, but like that I am best at, which is the Notion stuff. And it's like the strategy of making your business simpler. And then the tiny tech details can be given to someone else who enjoys doing that all the time.
So your income streams will be made up of like a combination of retainer fees. So that's like slow and steady and recurring and comfortable, and then topped up with bigger client projects.
Yeah, that's kind of my focus. And even then I'm walking away from the bigger client projects and more focusing on very, I could build a course in Notion. I'm constantly being asked to build a course in Notion, but I don't want to do all of that stuff. So I'm doing a webinar instead, in actual just a workshop. And I like that live interaction. I'm best when I'm live. If I'm talking to a camera, I'm just like, the best parts of me, my personality, the way I work, don't come through. I am best when I'm bouncing off another person and being able to communicate with that other person. Otherwise, I'm just like...
That's like the opposite of me. So I was talking this morning to a friend, and I was working out the plans for next year. I've got 3 short courses. They're not even courses. I don't know what I'm going to call them. 3 short things that stand alone. And she said, oh, you could just do that as like a live event, and then you just turn up and it's done in one go. And I was like, no, that is not for me, because that is where the most stress lies for me, and then the most rambling and least concise. And I'll take an hour to train people something that I could have done in 10 minutes if I'd really been paying attention to what I was doing. So it's funny how, you know which is the thing, which format is going to work best for you, but then it's having the discipline to stick to it.
Yeah, that's true. And shiny object syndrome is a thing.
So if we go back to your first business, or first kind of self-employment, which was making the music for video games, which still sounds very cool. When you decided you were going to be self-employed, what was the vision? What was your, like, what did you want to get out of that?
I just wanted to, I think it's always been step back to spending more time, because at that point my children were newborn. And so I just wanted to be able to be at home, able to support my wife, and also make money doing something I really enjoy doing. And I love music. Music is in my blood. I mean, I may have stopped teaching, but I still listen to music all the time. I have a piano directly behind me. I always have music, and that for me is really important. And so when I first started, I just wanted to do music all the time and write music for people. And I liked video games too. I wanted to do that too. And so I combined the thing that I'm good at with the thing that I enjoy. And it gave me a great excuse to write off a ton of video games as tax purposes, but that's beside the point.
Legitimate business expense.
Legitimate business expense.
I have a lot of those too.
Yeah, they're great. They are great. And that was the thing. I just wanted to be at home, because I didn't enjoy having to, I didn't enjoy the work day, and the work I was doing was not very fulfilling. I like talking to people. I like helping people. And unfortunately, although you think it would be the case, in many care homes, they don't care. It's just get them in, get them doing things, get them out. And for me, I couldn't deal with that. So I wanted to just be at home with my family and enjoy them growing up. So
even though it's gone like in a completely different direction that you probably could not have foreseen at that point, it would have been hard to imagine, I think, that you would have gone from doing that to doing this. If you were that person, had a chat with you right now, would he feel like you'd made a success of it, that you'd got to where you wanted to be?
Yeah, I think he would.
What would
he wouldn't have believed it? What would
he be most proud of?
The fact that I am earning enough to sustain like a business, and that I'm actually taking, like, instead of just taking on everything, I am successful, which is something like in that way of, I have clients that are happy, that come back every month, that continue wanting to work with me. I am helping change their business, and I'm also like being able to spend more time with my family. And that to me is what success looks like to me.
And it's what you're doing is helping them to spend more time doing the things that they want to do as well. So it's like the thing that you value the most, but also you're helping other people experience that too.
Yeah, and that's the most exciting part for me, is like when I speak to someone and they're like, I've actually got time to do what I want. Like, look what I've actually done. Like, I remember your post when you posted about, like, I was supposed to do this book, but I was never going to do this. And now look at me, I've done it, you know? And it's that I was just like, yes, that's what I want for everyone to see, so that they can finally just do the things they want to do. And then if they want to take on, if the dream for you is to do more work, not less, well, then I've just simplified your business enough so that you can take on more clients, so that you can earn more money.
It definitely increases the bandwidth. That's really surprised me this last, I can't believe where we are in the year. I know, I'm sorry, that's a massive cliche and everyone says it, but I keep thinking, oh, what happened to that middle section of the year? I remember there was March and then we were in October, and what happened in the middle? When I think about what I've said yes to in the last year and what I've done, it doesn't seem possible to have fitted it into that space of time. And that is only because it's now so tightly organized and I know where everything is and I've got the right support, that I know I've got the bandwidth to cope with it. So I just say yes to it, and I know I'll be able to plug it into the system somehow and be able to deliver it. I'm one of those people that, yeah, I should definitely use it to have more rest time, but I'm just going to use it to say yes to all the requests and do more work. It's fun.
But yeah, I just like giving more choice and freedom, because that's why we started our business. Like, that's why people go into self-employment, to have freedom.
You know, you could cut this out if you want, but you're so sort of like, for home ed, it's literally like, that is the most that is the most freedom that I can possibly imagine. Because my husband still works like a proper job. Poor man. That's his choice. He wants to do that. He's always said, like, I am not made for self-employment. I'm not a self-starter like that. He's working from home 3 days a week, and he's like self-starting in that he gets up and goes to work. He does what's expected of him, but that structure is for him. But me and the kids are like, nope, we are not designed to be told where to be at a particular time on what day and have to follow routines and structures put in place by other people. And since, like, for so long, it felt like you have to do that because that's what you do, because that's what you're told you have to do. So everyone who has kids has to go through this process of getting up at this time for these weeks of the year and taking them in and and if you've got kids with additional needs as well, the relentless meetings with the Senko that just go on and on. And for so long it felt like I was just doing it because there wasn't another option. And then I don't know, this feeling of like, oh, I could just literally step out of it, like just step off of those train tracks and do something completely different. That is the biggest benefit to me, is that sense of like freedom. Every week we start out with almost nothing in the diary, and we've got the freedom to decide what we do and when we're going to do it. Or we just go with, like, if they're really interested in something and they want to talk, they talk to me at like 1 o'clock in the morning because they're excited about something, and an hour's worth of conversation there, asking really intelligent questions and encourage them to research something to find it out more, like in the morning after they've slept. I look at what we achieve in that time and think, oh, that would have taken you 6 weeks at school, and we did it in like 1 hour at night because you were so engaged in it and you were so excited about it. I try not to champion the whole like everybody should be home ed, but if you've got like that tiny little hankering for, I think that there's something different available to us, or something different might work better for us, definitely explore it more.
Yeah, and since I started exploring it after our conversations, like with what you went through as well, and I was just like, oh, this is just so much easier. Like, I don't have to worry, like, because my wife has like a long-term illness, so she struggles as well. And because often my meetings are first thing in the morning, I've got to do the meetings in the morning, so she unfortunately has to do the school run.
And that's the hardest bit of the day.
Yeah, and that's the hardest bit of the day, is trying to make sure everyone gets ready, and my daughter doesn't spend 3/4 of an hour laying on the sofa thinking, "What are you doing, Erin?"
She's got distracted. She's probably looking at something that's very pretty.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's what it was, and it was just the case of like, it happened recently where everything was just going to pot, and I went, right, no, they're not going in. They're not going to school today. This is not a day for them to be in school. And they just sat watching a documentary and got really gooey over pandas. And then he went and started looking up pandas, and then I think this is type of monkey. I don't remember what it's called now. He'll remember. And like, I've been slowly drip feeding the home learning education into his normal life anyway, to ease his transition, because he's quite young. And so as I move more and more into that, it's becoming easier and easier for us to go, because I remember you sending the information over to me in Notion, of course, in Notion.
I did. I've set up a homemade page in Notion for anyone who's interested.
And I was looking at it and I went, oh, well, I'm more prepared than I think I am.
Definitely. And he sounds like he's well primed for it. The thing that it's really hard to explain, but now you're in it at the moment where at least one member of the family is not doing so well because they're having a difficult time. We've had a couple of occasions in our family with my eldest son where he's had some mental health issues, and my business just went like through the floor when he was still in school. And the difference it makes when everyone in the family is doing well and happy, and they're in they're in their happy space, you are able to then channel all your energy in the direction that you want to go in your business, rather than your business getting like the last 10% of you that you've got left because you're so busy putting out fires somewhere else. So whether the change you make is homemade or not, it like the difference it can make to your like productivity and what you can achieve when everyone's in their happy space is it's amazing. And I spent so long beating myself up because I was like, why am I finding this so difficult? I'm finding this so difficult to have anything left in the tank for my business. And then you look back and think, flipping heck, I was spending a lot of emotional energy on one person, on helping one person. It's not surprising that the business just got the rough end of the stick.
Yeah, and that happened to me recently. Obviously, we were thinking of taking Aiden out of education, and then all the information going on with there. We had a DAF in the past week, which is like a meeting around us and the kids and everything. And it's just like, I had so little in the tank for my business. And I was just like, I love what I do, but right now I just want to curl up in a ball.
I feel like that's not, I don't see that talked about very much at all. Like we talk about, moving your business up levels, but we don't talk about how, if you're doing that in your own life, because you're making a big change in your life or because you're experiencing a difficulty, your business is naturally kind of going to get stuck because it's just getting enough just to get by. And that's okay. That's okay. It's just going to be like that sometimes. That's just how it is. You can't, I got asked a question. It was on the Twitter chat hour. I remember that it was a Twitter chat hour, and someone was saying this is before everyone else had a taste of homeschooling due to lockdown as well. So there was a lot more awe at the fact that I homeschooled. Now you've all had a go at it. You're like, oh, okay, we could do this. It's fine. But they asked me how do you do that? How can you be a mum and run a household and have a business and homeschool your kids and be, have friends and do all those things? And I was like, well, I can do them all once a week. So on some days it's like, yes, I've nailed the home ed, and some days the house is tidy, and some days I feel like I've done a great job moving my business forward and have batch created loads of marketing that's going to have an amazing result. But those things don't ever happen all on the same day. Just pick one for the day and that's going to be the winner.
Yeah, and that's something that I kind of share with what I do. It's just focus in one area every day, have a theme for the day, since implementing that properly inside of Notion. So basically the way I implement stuff, I implement it in my head first and go, okay, cool. How do I do this? How do I do this? Cool. Then it goes into Notion, then it actually happens.
I was going to say, do you stick to it when it's in your head? Because I'm not able to do, no. It's a great idea, but there are no boundaries or limits. I'm not going to stick to it.
No, I can't stick to things if they're just in my head. They have to come out of my head and they have to go into Notion. Once it's in Notion, it exists. It is happening. Until then, it doesn't.
Do you find it hard to let it go if you've written it down? Because I find if I write a task down that needs to be done, and then later, in a later assessment, I decide actually that's just not that important, but it's on the list. So it's quite hard to not do it because I wrote it down and I made a pledge I was going to do it today.
No.
Is that just me that I'm just weird with that?
It used to be me. Like, I was exactly the same, but I've got to the point now where if it is not moving my business forward, it is not, it's just not happening. Like, I don't need to add more to my plate. I remember when I first implemented like the most recent version with a list there, which just told me what to do today. I looked at it at first and went, is that it? Is that all I'm doing? Right. Okay. Let me just go check this. Let me go check that. Let me see. I need to go check something to make sure that this is actually all I'm doing.
You're a lot of opposites. I have to-do lists and then I have a to-do list on my to-do list. Still, even with your help, I still just write additional to-do lists. I've got one written. There's one written down right here. That's on top of the one that I've got in Notion.
I know. I see your list.
Can't help it. Like, there's 5 minutes there. We could squeeze something else in.
But the thing is that's where Notion comes in, because you can do that and have both. And that's where it kind of, like, for me, that's what I want to achieve for as many businesses as possible, to be able to have everything you need to run your business and the ability to flex around your business when things go a little bit crazy. Like, everyone experienced crazy due to COVID. And then, like, this, I think you're the same, Laura. We experience that on a daily basis.
For our home life, yeah.
It's just like,
do you know, it's the ability to, as I've especially found it like in March and April with the daily news coming in, I find it hard to hold things in my head to remember where I was. So I'd be easily distracted, and then I find it hard to jump back into what it was I was doing before. And having like a more rigorous productivity system or rigorous planning system makes that so much easier, because you can just look at the few things that were tagged for this day and then, that's where I was, and everything that you need to do that task is in my structure. It's all in one page, so it just makes it so much easier to dip in and out of it. And I need that a lot, because the kids are at home with me all the time. So even when it's my working time, if they want to talk to me, I stop, because they don't go to school. Their only interaction is with me. So if they want to speak to me, I'll stop what I'm doing if I possibly can and go and spend the time with them, and then come back to it later, which could be like 2 hours later. And when everything you've got is written down in 6 different notebooks, and you come back to the notebooks 2 hours later and you're trying to remember what it was that you were doing and re-find your focus, that's quite tricky. But having everything online now in a simpler system is definitely like working with my style of working, which is very haphazard and spread all over the place. The other thing I find is working really well is Toggle, because we talked before about time tracking. I'm just using Toggle on my phone, so it's an app where you just record, like, I've started work on this thing, start, and then when you stop, you just remember to press stop. And because I have to record when I'm going to work, it makes me second guess, like, am I really going to try and cram in some work into this 10 minutes? Because I don't want the number to be counting up if I'm not really being productive, because I don't want the number to look like I've worked loads and loads of hours and I haven't got very much done. So instead of like trying to cram in the extra 10 or 15 minutes here around other things that I'm doing, I'm definitely more consciously concentrating for a burst of time and then really getting stuff done, because that clock is ticking and I want to make sure I get as much done as I possibly can while that's telling me that I've worked those hours.
Yeah. Did you know that Toggle works with Notion too?
I didn't know that.
It's like you can install the app in the browser. If you have to use it within Chrome or one of the other browsers, but you can actually, if you have a project or a task you're working on, there's a little purple button you could just press and it will assign that as your task, and then it will count up for you.
Oh, that's amazing. Right, I'll have to figure out how to do that. I was using it on my phone, on my brand new phone, and that broke yesterday for no reason at all. It was there and it was working, and then I looked at it and it had a black screen and it had died quietly in its sleep next to me on the table. Brand new phone. No idea why.
Rest in peace.
That is the kind of effect that I have on technology. It just needs to be in my presence for a short period of time and it expires because it can't take it.
Notion hasn't done that to you.
Not yet, but there's still time. I'm sure I broke something of yours. I'm sure I have. I did. My friend Louise runs a fantastic graphics platform called Designstar, and we somehow managed to meet online just as we were both starting our businesses, and so we were helping each other out. And she had this platform built, and it's so that you can make your own web graphics and social media graphics. And for me at the beginning, that was fantastic because I could spend a lot of time making a very pretty Facebook quote and not really doing any work, and doing the graphics was way more fun. And so she had this whole the platform built, and it had like all the testing, and then set me up as the first user or one of the first users. Off you go, see if just tell me what you think about it. And so she could get a testimonial and I could make some graphics and we could share them, and I broke it inside about an hour, doing something that no one had ever attempted to do before, and nobody thought that anyone would think the button worked in that way. And I thought that sums me up. Like if there's something that could be broken, if there was like a 1% chance of breaking it, I will find that little flaw and dig it out and make sure I've broken it. Because that's obviously, I don't think I think in the same way as other people. I think we share that in common, that we have a different approach to things.
Yeah, I've broken so many things. I think that was my big problem with what me and a friend of mine call a boxed app, like Trello and ClickUp and all of those other apps. They are in a box because it's a niche, obviously, because that's what you're meant to do in a business. And then if it breaks, you just can't have that.
And it's like they're designed for how most people will think. Most people will just use it in a particular way, but we're not going to do that because that's not how we think. And but Notion goes with me. It's so far so good. It's however I've thought of linking things together or how I've wanted to structure things so far, it's gone with me, and I haven't managed to break it yet. So just my phone this week. I know. So I meant to ask you, but after we did the would you consider that you were successful, and when you were feeling really good about that and going yes and owning it, and yes, I do feel successful and I'm really impressed with what I've achieved so far, I meant to bring you right back down very quickly by asking, were there any times when you just thought, good grief, this is 100% not worth it, I'm going to go and get a job?
Not really.
Wow, your hatred of jobs is that strong that it's carried you through.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some horrible times, but I've never thought of getting a job. Like, I just couldn't do it, and people couldn't put up with the way I work, with how my brain works. People couldn't do it, and I could never go back. I think because I started in a job, then left a job, I could never go back because I just.
Do you ever feel like do you ever get like those moments of almost despair of, I just can't, this is too hard, I can't be bothered? I suppose because you've got that necessity, you don't have a choice of saying, I'm just not going to do this. Like you have to.
Yeah, I just have to. I will make it work no matter how I need to do it. And if I need to change everything, then I'll change everything, but I will make it work. It's not happening. I'm not going back to a normal job because I'm just not. So
do you have an idea of like in the next, let's imagine that 2021 is going to be a whole lot better. Do you have an idea of what you want it to look like in about a year's time?
No, I do. I want to kind of continue on the trajectory that I've been on. I want to have my small little team of wonderful and very talented minions who can help me do the bits that I don't need to do anymore. So the little tiny tech tasks, which I'm constantly asked to do, I want to be able to outsource and focus more on kind of launching different like workshops around all the things that I love about business, because I've been in the business world, I don't think as long as you have, but I've been in there long enough to know and learn so much, and I just want to share as much of it as possible. So in the next year I want to be launching different kind of workshops where I talk about a topic and then people can pick and choose what they want. I am not planning to have a huge course I could
Do you
never.
like that quite sort of disjointed, you know, so instead of one big program where it all meshes together and the courses follow on one from other, you prefer kind of takeaway nuggets that do a job, and then they can take it when they can take the other courses or not take them, but it's fine because they all stand alone.
Yeah, because that's how I like to, like, when it comes to me learning, I buy these massive courses and I only end up taking one or two nuggets out of those things. I'm like, oh no, that's a cool idea.
Do you ever go back to them? Because I find that when I, like, no, that'll be a no then. I find when I learn something, I can go so far and then I get to the thing that I needed right now. And there's nothing, you know, even if I keep showing up and reading the stuff or watching the videos, nothing else is going to go in because my brain's like, no, we're there. We've got the bit we needed. We just need to get on and implement it. And then I need to live with that for a while, the changes that I've made, and go back to the course. And then you'll get like a little bit further on. So the trick is to just keep going back into what you've already got rather than keep buying new ones.
Yeah, I do have that now.
But you've amassed quite a library of courses in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm scared to find out. I've not put all of my like courses I've ever bought inside of my Course Junkie like dashboard inside of Notion.
So you can't just say Course Junkie dashboard and then not describe what that is for people.
Okay, so the Course Junkie dashboard is basically how I manage to keep track of every single course that I've bought, or the important courses that I've bought. I have a full system in place to kind of prioritize which courses I need to look at now, which courses I can just leave for a while and come back to later. Because when a sale comes on a course, I get a little bit excited and go, oh, that's another course. Oh, I like to learn a little bit about that. I have courses on ridiculous things that I'm just like, oh, that was available for free. Yes, please. I might want to learn that, or I might have a client that likes to know this information, and then I can share it with them because I've digested it and turned it into something else. And so I have a full system of prioritizing, taking notes as well on the courses that I take. And so I literally just have to open the course I'm looking at. It's filtered by topics and however I like to view it, and it's all pretty as well because everybody loves galleries. And you can just open the course, look at your notes, and then turn it into content if you want to.
I love that. And one day I'll be organised enough to have that inside my Notion, but that day is
it's sat
not
waiting
today.
for you. It is waiting for you.
I've got as far as like, if I need to do something, I make a note, check if you own a course already that will teach you how to do this. And then I have like a list of the memberships and courses I'm in, because I'm in quite a few memberships. So then they've got umpteen courses inside them as well. So usually I can find in something I already have access to the information that I need rather than buying something new. So I feel like that was an important first step, is to check what I've already got before I go out and buy something new. That's helped a bit.
A bit. But also I just enjoy taking courses. Like I enjoy learning something new. And I don't think I ever want to stop doing that. I just want to have a way of being able to see that I've got this thing to learn and be able to reference it if I need to.
And I think there's something in it of knowing that you're doing it for fun and it's not really work. So like that is your leisure. Well, for me, that's so on Saturdays I don't work, but I've got a backlog of courses that I'm interested in taking. And most of them are sort of self-development, leadership style courses. So that rather than specific, learning how to do a specific technical thing. So on Saturdays, I have time set aside where I work through those courses, and I've kind of acknowledged that's not me working on a Saturday. That is me choosing what I want to do for fun on a rainy Saturday afternoon, is take a course, because I'm a bit weird like that.
I'm the same. So on some weekends when I'm not spending time with the kids, I'm just like, I want to play in Notion and figure out if I can do something. And that for me is never work, which is something my wife doesn't understand.
Yeah, because it looks like you're working. Yeah.
Are you in Notion? I'm like, yes. Are you working? I'm like, well, not really. But you're building something in Notion. Yes, I know I'm building it, but I'm having fun doing this.
It is blurry, isn't it? To try, and then on the other hand, they'll come around and say, "Oh, you're on Facebook again, Mum. You're on Facebook. Is that all you do? You're just on Facebook?" Like, it's just that when you walk in, that is the tab that's open, but that doesn't mean I'm not working. I'm doing very important work on Facebook right now. I'm networking. I need this time.
I can't do Facebook. I find Facebook so.
Where do you go? Like, where do you go? How do you find your people? How do you bring people to you if you're not on Facebook?
Well, I am on Facebook, but reluctantly, and it's mainly Facebook groups that I reluctantly join because I do want to network with more people because that's what I'm supposed to do, even though I would rather just have actual conversations with people instead of Facebook posts.
Things if you just walk around up and down the street saying, I love Notion, will you talk to me? It's going to be hard to have those conversations.
I might try that one day.
So you've like a few groups where they're kind of the people are pre-vetted because they've already paid to be part of some kind of membership or program.
That is the only groups I visit. I find free groups, like I don't have a free group as a point of I don't want to be in a free group, because the free groups is just a free for all for everybody to come in, and it's not. It always ends up being very much just a lot of loud people talking very loudly, and that is draining for me.
Do you go in the Free Notion group?
No.
Really? Oh, that was like when I first found Notion, I could just sit. It was like looking in a shopping catalogue. It was like sitting down having the Argos.
It used to be like that, but it's very much turned into quite a lot of, how do I do this? How do I do that?
I liked it when it was people showing off what they could do, and then you'd look at it and go, I want that. That looks really pretty.
I remember
Sorry.
As you looking, I think it was Marie Poulin's like board, and you're like, I like this. Can I have that?
Make it look like this.
and I like that. I liked that part of the Facebook group, but it's very much turned into a, how do you do this? How do you do that? Where there are lots of videos, people teaching you how to do this and how to do that. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
I better not get you started on that one. You won't be opening a free Facebook group anytime soon as part of your sales strategy.
I've been told to open a free Facebook group, and I have literally gone,
It's a lot of work. I've had 2, I think, possibly 3, where I start it and then I'm like, I remember now why I wasn't going to do this. There was a lot to love about it, but it's so much work, really.
Yeah, I have a private community group which is not on Facebook, which is why it never really works properly according to the people I've spoken to.
I didn't know you had that. I've
invited you.
What is it on?
It's on Circle.
What Circle?
Circle is a community platform that is, it's, Mighty Networks, which is, I don't like Mighty Networks, but that's beside the point. It's basically a good Mighty Networks.
Okay.
It's very clean. It's very, it looks like Facebook, but it isn't Facebook.
Am I quite a long way behind by not knowing what Circle is?
No, Circle is only just
quite new,
publicly launched.
Because I've tried being in a community on Mighty Networks, and I didn't ever use it. And then I tried on Slack, didn't work out either.
Oh, don't even get me started on Slack. Just no.
See,
I don't like Slack.
This is like the sort of thing that you can really geek out about, and I have very it's black and white. I'm either like, yep, that's a go, or I can use that, or no, and I'm never going to look at it again. And so it doesn't occupy any headspace. It's gone. Doesn't exist. It's literally dead to me. Doesn't exist.
I don't like that. It's dead to me.
Yeah, that's much like my assessment of people sometimes. Oh, very quick decision. No, you're gone. The headspace is gone. I don't need to worry about this anymore.
Bye.
Yep. I have a complicated home. Well, I shouldn't keep saying that, because at the moment we're doing good. Things are quite calm and stable. But because I think if you've lived through times where it's complicated at home, or you've got a lot on your plate, you have so much less capacity for any other sources of drama. So it's really easy to just let it go and go, nope, not for me, off it goes, and never think about it again.
Yeah. I've reached that level of just no.
Okay, before this conversation descends into me just continually convincing you to take your kids out of school, I mean also both of them, but start with one if that makes you feel better. That's what I did.
It's tempting.
I started with one, and that was definitely one of the most difficult times. If it was necessary, because the eldest one wanted to be in school when it was definitely time for the younger one to be coming out, because he had the best of what mainstream education had to offer him. And then we did about 18 months where one was at home and one was at school, and that was like the timetable from hell.
Yeah, I think I was talking to my wife, and I was just like, yeah, if we're going to pull them out, we might pull both of them.
But it's hard if they both don't want to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that one seems okay, but she very much is just in her own little world anyway, and she just loves to be, yeah. So it is a difficult situation, and they're the same age.
Obviously, because they're twins. That's how that works. Except that one's 30 minutes older, and and she does not want her brother to forget that.
Yeah.
See, I was paying attention even to remember which way round they are. But thank you very much for your time today. Where should people go to find out more about you and your work?
Good question. They should probably go to businessinnotion.com.
Is there any particular social media platform that you ever post to that they might find you on?
Twitter is my most active, at Notion Biz, B-I-Z.
Okay,
Biz.
and I'll put the links in the notes so that people can find it. Thank you very much.
I'll put the links in the notes.
You'll put the links in the notes. Trying to pretend that I do it all myself. It's like, how do you fit it all in? Like, I don't do it. I just ask somebody else to do it. That's how I fit it all in.